Gloria Hassall Show. So today we'll be continuing our discussion on social media and its effects on us, our families, our kids, and how things were before and how things are now with social media and technology and everything else. So I've got with me my lovely guest, Sharon Tabitha. We were together last week and we'll be continuing our discussion today. Hi, Tabs.
Hi.
So I was actually going to ask her, do you think that social media has had a negative impact on kids?
I do think, I don't know, there's parts of it that doesn't though, like, you know, things like coding. Coding, yeah. So, you know, coding computers, or things like maths, English, things like learning. Like, if you ask my child who's 6 years old, what's the biggest shark in the country, he could tell you that because of social media. He could tell you the hottest chili. He could tell you the biggest snake. He could tell you the biggest mountain. So I think in some instances it's actually making kids more clever. But I think if it's controlled,
it needs to be controlled.
Yeah, it needs to be controlled. It needs to have restrictions on it for children. They can't just be set. They just can't be free in social media, because there's things in there that people are sharing which are not good. It's just like you have age restrictions on you know, alcohol, tobacco, movies, books. You see, you have age restrictions on a lot of things, and these are to protect the children. And we need the same thing with social media, because some of the things, it does desensitize you to humans going through hardship or bad times. It desensitizes you. So you're like, okay, this person's on an air ventilator and they're not very, very well. And if a kid's openly seeing that on social media, they wouldn't have the same reaction in seeing it in real life. They've almost become so they're almost, because if you see something, you're not going to be shocked the next time, are you? So you it's almost keep creating such a familiarity with violence and illness and everything like that. It desensitizes you, so you don't understand the impact of being violent properly, because you're thinking that, oh yeah, this is just a picture and it's not real, I'm just going to get on with it. And so it's almost kind of making them feel like what they're seeing isn't real. It's like a cartoon or it's like a computer game. But the thing is, in reality, you could be, they're seeing people that are diseased, or they're seeing people that are not, you know, that are getting killed in war and things like this, which is desensitizing them to war. So that, you know, because they're not going to think, oh, hang on a minute, these are actual people that are passing away. Beings. They don't understand the concept of it.
Can you give us some differences of the impact social media had on the generation in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, how life was then and how life is now?
Well, I think 80s, it didn't really exist, like what we spoke about then, and life was
more personal, like people interactive,
better, in person, in a practical way. I mean, I used to go and volunteer with my mum as well when in the 80s and the beginning of the 90s, where we were mixing. You know, we had a lot of going to the temple, things like that. You know, and again, you're interacting with different cultures, different age groups, you know, and now I think in the 90s that started developing a bit with the computer coming out and people using computers, you know, getting into Google. Suddenly you've got IT at school, you've got business studies at school, you know, and yeah, we did business studies before, but that was more bookkeeping and accounting. It wasn't like straight into the computer and that's it, away you go. And this is the thing, that technology has really driven social media through these different periods that you've given me. So the 80s, 90s and the 20s, because so in the 80s it didn't really exist. 90s it got kind of, it was the beginning, so it's almost like social media was in its fetus stage, if that makes sense. And now it's kind of like about
exploded,
well,
or a way of life.
It's almost going from your primary school into your puberty years, basically. And I think kids are ahead of their time because of that. And I think it's helped us as well. So we're learning in different manners. We've got different ways of learning. And so I think the main thing is going to be how we are gaining information. So you've got to think that before you'd have to spend hours and hours going through different books manually, and going through different reels in the library, going through different events, learning about history, learning about geography, and I think you were more in touch with it in a practical sense. But now you could just pick up and in the especially and then if you think about the 90s and the current century, then you've got to think that really you could just pick up the phone and just ask any of the social media platforms a question, and you're going to get answers. They might not be factual, so some of them might be fiction. So there's a bit of a negative there in the sense of the grey areas. Do you know whether it's true or not? Because there's although there's a lot of true information and factual information, there's a lot of made up information on there as well. So you got a lot of made up information on there, but I think it's actually being able to differentiate between the two, and not everybody can do that. But the main changes have got to be the technological advancement of being able to actually having to physically go to a library and trawl through thousands of books to actually you just ask one question and you get the answer straight away, and it could be anything. It might be moral, it might not be moral. It's some of it is dangerous. You could learn how to do anything on the internet. You can.
Yeah.
It's true. Especially YouTube. I mean, and this is why just putting the restrictions on there is the main thing, I think. But the main changes is definitely technology, because the more technology moves forward, the more the social media apps, platforms, and even your desktop applications or services, they're growing day by day. They're trying to get smarter and smarter, trying to get more and more information, collect more and more information about people, all these analytics as well. So they know that you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to log into something, or you're going to go on a certain page that talks about cakes, or you're going to, they know your likes, you don't like. So, you've got to think that again when they actually, especially the social media platforms, they can actually instigate what you see as well. So you'll find that if you're looking for good shoes on the internet, suddenly you go on somewhere like Facebook or one of your social platforms, and suddenly you start getting the most shoe adverts you ever see. You getting leather shoes, plastic shoes, velvet shoes. Oh, here's a shoe with a flower on it. Oh, do you want some boots? Have some boots. It's analytic. Oh, it's just like buying something off Amazon. You can buy stuff off anywhere. You click a link, and some occasions you might not be buying stuff. You might actually be getting robbed.
Yeah, that's true.
Of your identity, or of your money, or of something. Even your conscience. You could get robbed of anything. Your honesty, your loyalty, you can get robbed of absolutely anything. And this is another reason why we have to be careful with social media platforms. But I do, the thing is, it's so difficult because there's negatives and positives of social media, and I think it's just about finding a balance. But a lot of things are dictated to us on what we see and what we don't see. Whereas if you, I don't know, go for a walk in somewhere in a park, That's not dictated.
Yeah.
You're going for a walk through a
Yeah.
park with your
Yeah.
dog. You know, you're getting fresh air. You're seeing trees. You're seeing
people or whatever,
wildlife.
you see
Everything
people.
you see is real.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can be concocted there, or there's nothing disguised.
Yeah.
There's no hidden agendas.
Yeah.
You know, and you do get hidden agendas in certain scenarios, maybe at work or maybe in your life. You know, but in general, when you're in real life, especially in today's day and age, because of lockdown and everything else, people hardly see each other anyway. So you know, but this is real. Like
There's no more lockdown.
it's not the same as seeing a tree in a picture, or sitting at a lake is not the same as seeing a picture of a lake. It might remind you of being at that
It's not the
lake
same.
and what you felt at that point, but it's not the same.
Same experience.
Yeah.
Not the same experience.
So you can have social media, which
Nobody's-
can educate people, but this is what I mean, that it's almost taking the human touch away and turning it all robotic. We're
Thank
gonna
you for
have to-
joining us for this session. This is all time we'll have for us. So we're going to end here and we're going to continue next week. This is the Gloria Hassall Show, coming to you from Sunny TV. Our sponsors, Sunny TV, Glandis Essentials, who always cater for my clothes, accessories and hair, Gloria Hassall Foundation and Kane Pharmacy. You have a good week. Take care of yourself and I'll see you next week.
Gloria Hassall Show comes your way every Saturday, 7 p.m. on Sunny TV with your host, Gloria Hassall, to break down the importance of addressing and discussing issues like current affairs, marriage, culture, economy, health, wealth, and education on Gloria Hassall Show, 7 p.m. every Saturday on Sunny TV.